Birds of Prey number 9, written by Dwayne Swerzinski, art by Travel Foreman. This is a tie-in, ostensibly, to Night of the Owls. But it's weird because every other one of them had a very specific target that the Talon was going after. This one he's just causing mayhem, as far as I can tell, or maybe he is after one of the Birds of Prey, but it doesn't make that clear. Anyway, we pick up 1842, where we're getting, this guy, he's just pontificating. He's just like, oh, the streets are ruled with cruel men, and I am here to deliver justice, and blah, blah, blah. And we just see how he has literally been slaughtering people constantly. But then we cut to Night of the Owls, and Katana and Canary are limping away from the fight. And there's like, did we kill that guy or not? And apparently the fight with the Talon's already been ongoing, and apparently Katana's sword cannot steal his soul because he has no soul to steal. He's already dead, more or less. And then we see the Talon jump in and just start attacking them. Canary delivers a sonic cry, like point-blank range, which apparently should have shattered his skull, but he's, of course, still standing afterwards. So the Talon keeps on attacking, and we see through the Talon's eyes that he sees everything in, like, mid-1800s, like, garb, like, the way that they're dressed. Katana's an old-fashioned samurai, and I can only assume that Black Canary is some sort of, like, Union soldier. I don't know. Regardless, he keeps on attacking them. And then we get the lowdown on what happened earlier on of how Batgirl called the Birds of Prey and said the whole thing of, hey, Talons are attacking, Batman needs help. I know you guys aren't technically Bat family, but can you get in on this anyway? And then at that point, they went to go get Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy had already been attacked by this Talon, and they couldn't find her. They could only find, like, traces of her, aka it looks like her skin is literally dangling from this pole, but I guess she just sheds. Anyway, so they keep on fighting them, trying to just get an upper hand, but they can't do anything about it. So they fall back to the same church that was actually in the very first issue. And they're like, I fought here before. I know all the tactical advantages. Let's go in there. So they head in, and then they try to do a half-ass thing where they're like, I'm sorry, I'm not a Maya game Katana. I'm still reeling from the fact that the death of my husband was brought up. And it's like, yeah, okay, don't try to further the plot here. Just keep it going. So at this point, the Talon is approaching just very slowly, and then we hear the sound of a car pulling forward. The Talon looks over. He sees a chariot pulled by horses, but it's once again Starling in a car who just crashes into the Talon and then crashes into the church through several walls, taking him the whole way through. And she hops out and she's like, all right, girls, no need to thank me. Glad I could do whatever. But then they're like, no, he's not dead. Focus. And she looks over at him again, and we see his mask has come off at this point, and he's got, like, the full-on Colonel Mustard style, like, sideburns going into the mustache look. And he starts attacking her, picking her up by her throat or whatever. She fires off some gunshots. Everyone else starts trying to jump in as well. Until finally Batgirl comes in. As he's about to snap the neck of Katana, she strings up her, like, I don't know what you want to call her, grappling hook, the rope specifically, around his neck, and then strings him up from the top of the church. And that gives him at least a second to focus. And they're just like, okay, these are Talons. They can't be killed. They're only stopped by cold or, like, significant beatings. So, what are we going to do here, ladies? And the Talon snaps the rope, and they just start running away. And really, they don't have much of a plan at all, but they are, as they're talking, they're like, okay, we just need to, let's go down to the train station, because apparently there is a car there that is hauling frozen meats, and it has to stay cool. So if we can get him locked in there, he should cool down to the point where he isn't going to be a problem. So they get him over to the train station, and they manage to tackle him inside of the car and slam the door shut, to which he just pops back out again, because why not? And then finally Poison Ivy shows up and is like, hey, let me handle this. And she uses her vines, constricts the guy, and goes down into the car with him. And it's just like, hey, don't worry about it. Plants have the ability to, what do they say here? A hardening mechanism to survive the extreme cold. Just lock me in here and then don't forget about me. Thaw me out whenever you get this wherever it needs to be or whenever Batman's ready to go. And so they locked the door with her in there. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. By the way, Starling, where have you been? And she's like, don't worry about it. Though I did make a promise to Poison Ivy way back when we first met. And I think it's time that we need to follow up on it. And she's like, well, what do you need? And Starling tells him we need some machetes and a plane. And I don't know what promise they're talking about. This is all fresh to me. I genuinely no clue what's going on, as is the normal marching order for this book nowadays. Okay, so I didn't dislike this Talon, but again, I feel like they didn't give him a target. I feel like when the Court of Owls let him out, they were just like, and you just go mess stuff up. And then it's like, cool, I can do that. It's fine. It's okay. It's not great. I vaguely remember a different Bat book saying something about we have to go find the birds of prey. And I thought that would result into something in this book, but it didn't. Because it definitely wasn't Batgirl who said it. I don't know who did. So, yeah, that happened. Art-wise, I'm a big fan of Travel Foreman. This isn't quite the best, and I think I blame the colorist more than anything. Travel Foreman's been working on Animal Man, and his colorist and him really have a style that sticks out crazy. This one is just, it's okay. It isn't great. It's pretty standard overall when you really get down into it. Yeah, not much to really be said. I mean, it's a pretty just average book overall. I'm going to give it a 6. A lot of it comes down to I just don't care what the Birds of Prey are up to because it doesn't feel like it matters anymore because nothing makes sense. They just randomly do things and that's it nowadays. Like, now we're just doing a trip for Poison Ivy. Cool. What happened to the other plot? Whatever. We were kind of done with that. So yeah, 6 for this, and we'll see what happens at the end of next issue, whether or not I'm going to have any faith left at all in this book.